Reports are stating that Brentford boss Thomas Frank has now agreed to become the new Tottenham Hotspur manager as talks took place over the weekend, and it is all down now to Chairman Daniel Levy to settle on a compensation package with Brentford. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust have come out and said that the new manager needs to be backed. Tottenham Hotspur are edging closer to agreeing a deal to sell a stake in the club that values them at £5 billion. That is according to the Football Insider. There are reports that Spurs are interested in a Roma centre-back, and former Spurs women boss Robert Villaham sends a message to the fans. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another episode of Tottenham News where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. So the main story, Sunday evening, the Sun newspaper broke the following story. Tottenham Hotspur have agreed deal to make Thomas Frank new manager as Spurs negotiate compensation with Brentford. Now, Thomas Frank has agreed to become the new manager of Tottenham Hotspur. The Sun have stated, following talks over the weekend, the Brentford boss is close to becoming Ange Postecoglou's replacement. The report then goes on to say that Thomas Frank, 51, wants to make the switch across London, which will end his near 7-year spell with the Bees. It is now down to Spurs chairman Daniel Levy to settle on a compensation package with G-Tech Stadium chiefs. Tottenham brutally sacked Ange Postecoglou on Friday, despite the Aussie ending their 17-year trophy drought by winning the Europa League last month. The Sun then go on to say Daniel Levy is now moving quickly to appoint the Dane who guided Brentford to a 10th place Premier League finish last season. Fulham manager Marco Silva and Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola have been in the running, but Thomas Frank is expected to become the fourth permanent Tottenham boss in the last 4 years. Thomas Frank joined Brentford in 2018, and after promotion to the top flight less than 3 years later, he has made them an established Premier League club. The Dane already wants to bring Brian Mbeumo, 25, with him to North London, with Spurs trying to hijack Manchester United's proposed deal for the Cameroon winger. Although that could cost Daniel Levy up to £70 million with a possible £10 million deal for Thomas Frank, plus £60 million for Mbeumo's services. The official Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust on club direction and the next managerial appointment, they've come out and said, our concern now is that it appears we will have yet another change of direction, and that is something that is becoming a habit since we said goodbye to Mauricio Pochettino in 2019. We can only hope that the right direction has been made and the new manager is fully supported by the board and everyone at the club to build on the cup success. The Supporters Trust then go on to say he will need the finances to build a strong squad that can challenge simultaneously on many fronts. We wish whoever is appointed well. Spurs fans have had a taste of glory and we don't want to wait another 17 years for more. The Football Insider have just stated that Tottenham are edging closer to agreeing a deal to sell a stake in the club that values them at £5 billion. Spurs are open to investment with Qatari investors, ex-Newcastle chief Amanda Staveley and US-based MSP Sports Capital among those linked with a part takeover in recent months. Tottenham have been in talks with various consortiums for over a year, and progress is believed to have been made behind the scenes in recent weeks. The Football Insider have also reported that one sticking point, though, is the valuation of majority owner ENIC, which is believed to have now leapfrogged to £5 billion. That is nearly double the independent valuation of Forbes. Premier League legend and now TV pundit Roy Keane has been talking about Ange Postecoglou's sacking. He said the league form hasn't been good enough and you'd think the trophy would have given him an opportunity to stay a bit longer at Spurs. RMC Sport have just stated that Manchester United and Tottenham are both interested in Roma centre-back Evan Ndika, who has already caught the attention of Arsenal. Ndika is valued at around 40 million euros, the equivalent of £33.7 million. Robert Villahan was sacked as Spurs women manager on Sunday morning. He has written the following on X and on Instagram. My time as head coach of Tottenham Hotspur Women has come to an end. I'm incredibly proud to have led this amazing club for 2 years and to have worked alongside such talented players, dedicated staff and passionate fans. Together we shared many special moments, none greater than leading the team out of Wembley in front of 76,000 people for the FA Cup final against Manchester United and for the first time beating Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in front of our home crowd. Robert Villahan then went on to say, even though this season brought its challenges, I don't believe in failure. I believe in learning through experience. These 2 years has given me so much, both professionally and personally, and I'll learn from it and carry it with me as I continue my journey in coaching. Thank you to everyone who supported us throughout this chapter. I wish the club all the best and every success in the future. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode. Let's start by talking about Thomas Frank, because, of course, we have been talking about Thomas Frank for the last couple of days since Postecoglou was sacked on Friday. I did say on a couple of editions, if Spurs are going to make that change and whether people like it or not, a lot of people wanted Postecoglou to stay. And, of course, there is a lot of noise now saying, just get on with things. Postecoglou's gone. We have to get on with it. I agree with that to a certain extent. Of course, whether us fans like things or not, we are not in control of these situations or decisions. So it looks highly likely now that Thomas Frank will be becoming the new Tottenham Hotspur boss. I've got to admit, and as I've said since day one, even when Postecoglou was our manager, I've always had high praise for Thomas Frank. He has done a superb job since bringing Brentford up from the Championship. And as I've said on previous episodes, a lot of people expected Brentford to go down that season. And it is fair to say that Thomas Frank has made them better and better as the seasons have gone on. And they are the second lowest wage bill in the Premier League. They do seem to always sign really good players. Thomas Frank always seems to improve these players. Players then seem to move on, and then they seem to replace these players. Very, very good recruitment. Thomas Frank always seems to get the very, very best out of players, and that's what I like about him. It doesn't matter whether these players are superstars or, these players have been signed for a really small fee. Thomas Frank knows exactly what he wants. He knows what he can get out of certain players, and he does improve players. So that is, a huge plus. And of course, he is very versatile. He adapts in games, plays different formations. So, this could be a really good appointment. And as I've said in previous episodes, my only worry is whether he is going to get that backing. And of course, the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust have said exactly that. We do not want to wait another 17 years for a trophy. And, they've come out and said he will need the finances to build a strong squad. And they've mentioned those words as well. Many fronts. Spurs themselves, in their statement when sacking Postecoglou, they stated that we want to be fighting on all fronts. So if that is going to be the case, the manager, whether it be Thomas Frank or someone else, they need to be backed. And we need to be building a very, very strong squad for the Premier League, the domestic cup competitions, FA Cup and League Cup, and most importantly, the Champions League, because we don't want to just be a number in the Champions League. We want to compete and we want to go far in that competition. You work extremely hard to get a place in the Champions League, and when you're in it, go all out to do extremely well in these competitions. It's going to be a new challenge for Thomas Frank if this deal does get done, because of course, the compensation package does need to be agreed with Brentford. It is believed to be around £9 to £10 million. And, I know a lot of people are getting excited about if Thomas Frank does sign for us, then he could bring Brian Mbeumo with him. And, what a player he has been for Brentford, particularly last season. Incredible numbers, incredible stats, and, what hell of a player in that final third. So that could be a really, really good move. But If Thomas Frank does come in, of course, he will have my full support as a fan. I've noticed already, and it's very, very typical of the Spurs fan base, and that is not a criticism, by the way. The view is very mixed. When I've posted on social media about Thomas Frank, a lot of people are for it and a lot of people are against it. So it just seems at the moment, whether it's 50-50, I know there's a lot of people still going on about Ange Postecoglou and his sacking. But football is just absolutely brutal sometimes. And, you just need to carry on. I know it's like you need to just park your emotions sometimes about managers and about situations, and we need to get on with it. Difficult sometimes, I know. Now, Spurs, apparently RMC Sport have stated that Spurs are interested in Roma centre-back Evan Ndika. We have heard this and we have seen this speculation with this particular player many, many times over the last couple of years. So I would like a new manager to come in before we start saying that we're interested in this player and we're going to be signing this player and that player. We're coming up now to nearly day 9 of the transfer window, this first part of the transfer window. Of course, it closes on Tuesday and then reopens on the 16th of June until Monday, the 1st of September, 7 p.m. So hoping that Spurs can get a lot of business done in the transfer window before, certainly before they go on pre-season and certainly before we have that Super Cup final on the 13th of August. And then, of course, the Premier League will start. So hopefully, whoever is the manager, whether it be Thomas Frank or someone else, they will have a really strong squad for the new season. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Now remember to follow me also on all social media platforms at Chris Cowlin. Enjoy your week and I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.